Since this worldwide epidemic of coronavirus took place, a number of people, especially young people, wrote me emails asking me to share the Buddhist thought about how to cultivate a proper attitude during such epidemics, or even otherwise when you encounter certain misfortunes. And today I'm happy to share this through this medium, some of the important Buddhist thoughts. And one of the most important Buddhist thoughts that I would like to express, which is befitting this situation, is that in Buddhism it says, always make your mind happy, always remain happy. It is true that there will be ups and downs in life. It is true there will be misfortunes. It is true there will be mistakes, challenges, upheavals. But on those occasions, use those occasions as a learning experience and never make your mind unhappy. Because when you make your mind unhappy, then you become vulnerable, through which you are compelled to develop many negative emotions like anger, jealousy, anxiety, and also physically sleeplessness and so forth. So therefore it is one of the first important thing is human life is not just suffering, it also has a lot of blessings, but we also get sufferings also. So during those ups and downs in life, what is important is to maintain a balanced state of mind and don't let your mind disturbed. That is the first condition. Now the question is how would you do that? To quote Shantideva, he says, if it is something you can change, don't worry because you can change it. If it is something you cannot change it, no use worrying because by worrying you can't change it. So that makes everything pretty clear. So when it says if it is something you can change, that means, for example, in the case of these epidemics, personally there are many things you can do. You should really be careful and take all the needed precautions as has been prescribed by WHO and eminent doctors and so forth. So follow those strictly, and then on those areas which you personally have no control right now, so no use worry. And instead, when you encounter such misfortunes or challenges, there are many things you can learn also. For example, during these epidemics, people are now saying in many countries in the world the climate has become better. And also people are now learning that it is unwise to make discrimination on the basis of religion, color, creed, nationality and so forth. And this virus makes it very clear that this virus does not infect only those of a particular religion or particular nationality or particular color, shape, things like that. It infects everybody. So this is important point that we need to learn. If you look at nature, I always say nature is unbiased and we are unbiased. We are biased. Nature is unbiased. And because we are biased, we make all these discriminations, and because of which we have suffered much and we are still suffering. So therefore, such kind of natural kind of epidemics or calamities tells us that we should learn to live in harmony and learn to live as real brothers and sisters. And during such epidemics also, what is also very important, what also makes very important is that one thing that is really, really needed is compassion and love. Imagine, those people who are suffering from these epidemics, if they are treated without love, without compassion, just give some injection or some medicines, I don't think it will be very effective. So therefore it is very, very important to, as much as possible, share love, affection, and look after the patients with that altruistic, loving attitude. That's, I think, very, very important. And another thing that we need to learn from these epidemics is that the so-called progress, which is basically material progress that we have been pursuing for so long time, is actually external material progress. And it is for the sake of that external material progress that we are all busy. We say that we are all busy, we keep on running, and we have completely neglected the internal tranquility of the mind, the resilience, the patience, the compassion, the love that must be developed, which we have ignored. And because of this, now during such situations when you are isolated, when you are quarantined, when you are asked to practice this log out then many people get depressed and they start thinking, what should I do? Now this epidemic is going to enter into my room and things like that. So therefore I think again, yes, it is true that you need to take care about this risk of these epidemics, but what is even more important is there is no reason to panic. Even based on my limited knowledge, this epidemic is another form of influenza, as far as I know. The only problem probably is right now there is no medication, but no need to panic, because number one, panic will only make you lose your sleep, lose your appetite, probably weaken your immunity, which will make you vulnerable for many other problems, many other diseases. So don't panic. And also, maintain the hope that once you do the needed precautions, practice the needed precautions, half of the problem is solved. Because with this epidemic, it is said that even those people who are infected, 80 to 90% people are recovered. So there's no need to panic that much, right? And then secondly, it's only a question of time. Now scientists and doctors all over the world are working to find the right medicine, to find the right injection. It's only a matter of time that the cure will also be found. So with this kind of, what I'm trying to say is really, when you face problems, difficulties and challenges in life, it's useless to shut your the capacity of thinking and then develop panic, anxiety and fear. What is important is you open up, realistically think about the reality, and you will find many good things. Maybe you will find many solutions for those things. So therefore, as I cited from Shantideva, that for those there, whenever you encounter situations, there are things you can change, there are things you cannot change, right? Those things that you can change it, which means there are things that you can do that, and there are things which you cannot do right now. So no need to, no use to think about that, right? And then more importantly, like for those who believe in one or other particular religion, in our religious practices also, like for example in Buddhism, we have mindfulness practice, we have meditation practice, we have meditation on love and compassion, we have these practices of thinking about the reality of life. If you think about the reality of life, the life is termed as impermanent, transient, suffering nature and so forth. So on one or the other day we are susceptible to encounter such problems, right? And the best way to prevent such problems, or at least not to develop fear when you encounter such problems, is the solution is to come from the mind, not from the body. If your mind is attuned, if you develop positive mental outlook, then it is now scientifically found that many of the diseases will not come to those people who have positive mental attitude. So many of these diseases, these problems also come to people who are more mentally weak, right? So therefore what is important is to reaffirm our faith to the efficacies of the internal, developing the internal qualities like loving kindness, compassion and so forth. And during this period of kind of solitude, I would use the word solitude rather than isolation. Solitude, we are bound to kind of remain at least for a few weeks in our own home, and use this home as a wonderful opportunity to get together with your families who you normally are not able to spend much time because of your busy schedule or whatever be the reason. So you have wonderful time. And also in the past also, some of the, when they encountered this kind of pandemics, some of the scientists, they were able to make new discoveries during this period of solitude. So similarly, in our case also, we can make a commitment to improve your spiritual practice, to improve your love, to improve your compassion, or to improve any of your skills like art or music. So that way your mind will not be thinking unnecessarily about the destructiveness of this virus and so forth. And not only during this particular epidemics, in general also, it is found that many of the young people, especially the young people today, are more vulnerable because they see too many things. They get distracted to too many things. You open your mobile phone, you open your, television and things like that, and you see so many things, and you don't have the life's experience, the preparedness to, digest all these informations. And then because of this, anxiety, anger, jealousy, attachment, all this comes. So therefore, I would strongly suggest that you should not spend so much time just watching TV and other mediums which keeps on highlighting this coronavirus alone, which is, I think, not very helpful. You just get the right information from the right sources, and then rest. There's no need to see. For example, in my own case, I stopped watching television now more than 10 days or something, just to help myself find more time to do more constructive activities rather than spending time and counting all the bad things. Because if you keep on trying to see the bad things, you will always see the bad things. If you keep on seeing the good things, you will always see the good things. So let us see the good things, the constructive side, not just the destructive side. That this experience of this pandemic could also be used as an opportunity to transform misfortune into the path, which is a very important Buddhist practice. For example, like when you are asked to remain in isolation or solitude, many people feel uncomfortable because we are used to running hither and thither and not sitting and not meditating. Now here in this case, I think it's important to recall the achievement of some of the past great Buddhist masters, like right from the Buddha to many great masters. They achieved that tremendous amount of internal peace, calmness and happiness, not just by running around, but they found such internal happiness by remaining in solitude through practice of meditation, mindfulness, loving kindness and so forth. So therefore we should take those also as an example, that what is the real solution for any problems that we might face, not only these epidemics, but we might face in the future, is the solution has to be found from within, not so much from outside, right? Because once you have this internal mental kind of preparedness, having developed patience, resilience, compassion, love and so forth, then you will not develop many of these unnecessary fears and panics and so forth, right? Because once you see the reality of life itself is transient, it's impermanent, right? Aging, sickness, death, all this will come, not just through these pandemics, but they are bound to come. So that's why in Buddhism it is repeatedly said that in your regular life you should undertake those practices of facing those realities, because if you face those realities of the possibilities of sickness, aging, death and so forth, you will accordingly prepare, and this will help you to develop those qualities which is really essential for you and for many other people. Like for example, yes, we need money, but that will not necessarily solve much of the problem. So what is lacking, for example, which is very clearly told this time by this virus, that what is really important, needed is love and compassion. And normally in our life, much of the frustration, fear that we develop is because of obsession with oneself. We keep on talking, I, me, mine, your focus becomes very narrow. And when you just keep on thinking about yourself, not thinking about the rest of the sentient beings, then you become susceptible to all those fear and panic. What will happen to me? What will happen to my family? You are obsessed with this small circle. So therefore it is important not to just get bogged down with oneself alone. Think about the countless sentient beings. For example, in the case of this pandemics, it really makes you think, yes, you need to take care of all these human beings, but what about the animals? In fact, the result of this pandemic is randomly mistreating, misusing, killing other animals. Right? The only difference between these animals and human beings is these animals have no voice and we have a voice. So in the future also, even for the sake of well-being of human beings, if we are to flourish, if we are to enjoy that calm and peace and harmony, then we should treat the environment, the wild or domestic animals that lives with us. We should treat them with kindness and love, and this will really in the future reduce many of these unwanted pandemics and consequences. Because if you recall, all those epidemics that we have experienced so far, they primarily come from animals. They come from animals not because the animals are looking around to inject these epidemics in us, but because of our mistreatment with these animals we suffered. So we must learn that we should think not only about human beings, but as is said in Buddhism, we should think about well-being of all sentient beings. Negative experiences like these pandemics are primarily the result of unhealthy human behavior. Whether this pandemic or this epidemic came from animals or came from biochemical manipulation, these are all doings of human beings. We cannot deny that. Whoever we are, this is our own doing. So that's why it is also, I think, extremely important that through such experience we should make a kind of commitment that in the future I will not engage in destructive activities like anger, jealousy, killing, destruction, discrimination. These are the sources of the problems. So therefore, again, as I said right at the beginning, the solution for all these problems lie primarily in the mind of the people. And especially the leaders of the world should be compassionate, should be loving. I think because of lack of such genuine love and compassion from the lower level up to the highest level, because of lack of such basic human qualities, we are suffering. And we will suffer in the future if we don't pay attention and take right steps.